Good evening, everyone. Happy New Year to you all. I'm Sandhya Rudraraju, a leadership and a life coach, an OD and a business transformation consultant. And I welcome you all to today's episode, Ripple Talks Episode 4, which is proudly being sponsored by Professional Speakers Summit, PSS 2026, which is only going to happen 30 days away from today. So I welcome you all. Today's topic is our special theme of the evening, a day in the life of a professional speaker, with three amazing speakers and an incredible audience that I'm going to talk to today. So we are glad you're here. And if you're all ready, let's begin. If you can post in from where you're signing in, please take a minute. If you can enter where you're logging in from today, that'll be awesome. Okay, as you're entering, I would love to introduce you all to our speakers one by one. First off, is I'm going to introduce you to Neerja ma'am, who is also very famously known as the Teenager Coach. Neerja ma'am is a professional speaker, a six-time author, and a columnist who writes on staying a step ahead of Gen Next. She's a TEDx speaker and a certified virtual presenter who works with multinational organizations, educational institutions, and the armed forces, helping them understand and leverage generational strengths. Neerja ma'am is also an Oxford University Press resource person, a trained generational coach, and is currently pursuing a senior management executive program at IIM Trichy. A university gold medalist in philosophy, she brings depth, clarity, and a perspective to her work. And she currently serves as a GSF, Global Speakers Forum, president elect for 2025 to 2026. A warm welcome, ma'am. Thank you so much for joining in today. Good evening,
Thank
ma'am. Thank
you,
you so
Sandhya.
much. Next up, I would love to introduce you all to our next speaker, Anupriya Chowdhary. Anupriya Chowdhary is a storytelling and a communication expert who has trained over 15,000 people in communication skills and the art of storytelling. She is the author of six books across fiction and nonfiction and has curated and mentored speakers for platforms such as TEDx and Pechakucha, guiding more than 300 speakers to speak their stories with local audiences on global stages. What truly stands out in Anupriya's journey is her passion for mentoring and giving back. Through initiatives like Career After Family, she has helped many women rediscover purpose, build skills, and start their own ventures. For her special contribution to Asmita, Inspiring Stories by Army Wives, she was felicitated by none other than President elect Saurabh Patil. So, I am welcoming Anupriya to the stage today. Thank you, Anupriya, for taking the time and joining us today.
Hi, Sandhya. Good evening. I'm so happy
Good
to
evening
be
to
here.
you. Happy New Year. Right. Next up is our third speaker, Dr. Saurabh Patil. He's a global speaker, is an emotional intelligence coach, and the author of The Alchemy of Anger. He works with leaders and men worldwide to transform anger and emotional pressure into clarity, resilience, and confident leadership using his special framework, SPR, Stop, Pause, and Restart. His work blends lived experience, psychology, and practical tools for real world impact. Saurav is also an ICF CCE certified life coach, and he has led many successful ventures across healthcare and hospitality. And he also co owns a popular cafe in Mumbai. Today, he works closely with men and entrepreneurs, helping them navigate challenges, recover from setbacks, and move forward with clarity and purpose. Special welcome to you, Mr. Saurabh Patil.
Thank you so much, Sandhya, for having me. It's a great pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining in. And with that, I would love to welcome you all to this special episode. So, if you all are ready, let's begin this theme of the day. I know that this topic is very near and dear to me. As an upcoming speaker, I also it really puts me in nerves sometimes before I get on the stage, and I realize that there is a lot that has to happen on a daily basis to be successful in front of the stage. So that is the theme of today's topic. So let's talk about what has to happen on a daily basis for you to be successful and trend at the stage? So I would like to hear from you all. And in that process, I would love to also discuss about the habits, the mindset, what are your secrets, trade secrets, tips and tricks, all of that we're going to discuss today. So, without any delay, I'm going to introduce the topic very quickly. As I mentioned, this topic is being sponsored by Professional Speaker Summit 2026. And it's also part of our flagship event that happens by Professional Speakers Association of India, PSAI. And you already saw the intro video. PSAI is affiliated to GSF. We're going to talk about the upcoming event also before end of this show. So without any delay, the first question I would like to bring upon is, I know that when people think of a professional speaker, they always think about maybe the lighting, the magic that happens on the stage, the round of applauses that they get, the celebrity status that we all enjoy while being on the stage. But what part of your life do you usually not see at all? First up, I'm going to ask Neerja ma'am to share her inputs.
Sandhya, I missed the last word. Did you say what part of the day you enjoy the
What part
most?
of your life do they not see at all?
Oh, yes, absolutely. What they don't see is the deep work and all the relationship building that happens, how much work is put into the delivery. So essentially, what they don't see is the grind behind the glamour. Let me put it like that. And also the fact that we are all, most of us, one man, one woman armies. We do our own scheduling, our own research, our own coordination work, and our own, of course, creation. It begins with that. So that is what people don't see. And I can tell you a little more as we go along about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Wonderful inputs. Thank you, ma'am. So next up, I'm going to ask Anupriya.
Did we lose Sandhya?
Yeah,
Oh, she's
she's
back.
back.
Yeah, so sorry, Anupriya, if you want to share your inputs.
I don't know about what gets ignored, but I would say what doesn't get seen. Everyone sees the spotlight, everyone sees the mic, everyone sees the photo ops that we do at the events. No one sees the work that goes behind it. As Neerja mentioned about, most of us are one person armies, individual armies, and we do all the business development on our own. We have sleepless nights figuring out where does the pipeline come in from. We do this content development all the time. I just saw Saurabh's video this morning on LinkedIn. Neerja has been running a podcast for years. I am trying to become a content creator, yet not finding my consistency. So that is the dark side of the speaking world, which often gets not seen. The
Right,
BTS, the behind the stage, I would
behind
say.
the stage. You're absolutely right. Thank you for sharing that, Anupriya. I'll be back with another question for you. Saurabh, sir, what do you want to share?
Well, I totally agree with what Neerja ma'am and Manupriya has said. Professional speaking is more like an iceberg. What you see on the stage is just 5%. What goes below the water is the actual 95% work that we do. Content, networking, building relationships, and the physical and mental prep that we are going. We have to practice the speech, write the speech, know where to pause, where to add humor, understand how we are going to present it on the stage. So, all that is the 95% that goes below the water like an iceberg. And the applause, the travel is just the 5% that's visible above the water.
Yeah, I love the analogy that you brought in. I love that. So let's talk about the work that happens every day. So the first question I would stop at, Anupriya. I know you've trained and mentored so many speakers over the years. and especially with TEDx and the other initiatives that you always help out so many speakers and storytelling. From what you have seen, what is a quiet discipline that really makes a difference not only for you but also for the people that you train? So, what is the one secret discipline that has helped you?
uh, you have to anticipate what you are expecting in the future and prepare for it. So, just to give you an example, I had been preparing for my TEDx talk. I gave my TEDx talk in February or April 2025, no 24. But I had been preparing for it for 2 years. And preparing, when I say preparing, I was, of course, applying, talking to people, reaching out, and expecting to be called upon to speak. But without knowing a deadline, I had my script ready. My script went through at least 20 iterations. I was taking reviews from people. So, having that clarity, that what is that one message you want to leave out to the world, makes a lot of difference in terms of it actually helps in the entire life cycle, business cycle for a speaker. But it really does make a difference for you to be able to put out things clearly and in a way that will transform people.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that, Anupriya. Next question I would love to ask Neerja ma'am. I know, ma'am, you balance a lot of writing, speaking, global work, and you travel a lot, and you are continuously learning. Especially, I know now you're doing your, I don't know, second or third postgraduate degree. So, how do you balance all that and then stay steady and grounded all the time?
Sandhya, it is said that you want to give work to somebody, give it to a busy person, the busiest person you can find. They will, they will get it done. And the trick is not to look too far ahead. The trick is to keep moving, maintain the momentum, and do the next right thing. This phrase I picked up in one of the talks I attended, do the next right thing. So I think all speakers have their task lists and they have the apps that they use regularly. I have mine, and I get a high out of ticking off those jobs. It's become an addiction almost. So I keep on top of things by just essentially moving and saying yes far more than I say no to things. That's how I end up doing all of this.
I love that ticking off part, especially after Brian Tracy. Probably you're the second person who mentioned about the satisfaction that we get. So thank you,
Out of
ma'am.
the high, yeah, the high that you get. Tuck, tuck, tuck. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Saurabh, I know you faced rejection and a lot of setbacks. I've read about your profile and I've heard you speak multiple times. So, looking back, what has helped you from those setbacks or experiences to the way you project yourself in front of the stage today?
Yeah. So, yes, there were a lot of rejections initially when I started speaking in 2022. And the only thing that helped me, I mean, couple of things that helped me to improvise, speak on the stage, get more confidence is feedback. Open to feedback, keep improving on the feedback, keep changing, keep accepting the feedback, and keep improvising on it. And I had a lot of feedback from many people in PSI as well. They always point, and good critics, not literally like negative feedbacks. Anupriya had guided me for my speech last year in PSS 2025. Neerja ma'am has always been a good critic for me. So there are so many people who continuously give feedback, and it's never a dead end to learn. Once we go on the stage, we don't stop learning. Any professional speaker, no matter at what stage they are, they keep learning. So always be open to feedback. Another thing, I used to keep practicing a lot. I used to start talking to myself. I used to keep practicing my speech when I was driving, when I was alone. In fact, sometimes my daughters, some of my staff in my restaurant used to call me crazy because they felt I was talking to myself. But that was the time when I was alone and I kept practicing, practicing. That is what I think, it has become a habit now.
Mm. Yeah, totally true. And thank you for sharing that, Saurabh. Um, I heard that there are a couple of questions from the audience. So, can I take one question? Okay. The first question from Midhu. How important is content creation in a professional speaker's journey and why? Neerja ma'am, you want to take that?
Yes, if you saw
Absolutely.
the
Her
most,
reactions say everything.
more. It is so central. It is the essence. It is your message. Medium comes later, motive comes later, all that, but essentially the content, so critical. The content has to connect, the content has to be current, the content has to be convincing. And we really are what we speak. Everything else comes later on. It's an add-on, but the hook that you put everything on, hang everything on, is your content, original, well researched, credible, something new, something surprising, something that leaves our audience with what we've become so used to calling those aha moments.
Yes.
Content is very, very, very important, and a lot of time has to be spent on content. It has to be approached with a certain reverence. In my view, content is extremely important.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, absolutely. Thank you for sharing that, Neerja ma'am. Right. The next question that I would like to ask is for Anupriya. So the question is coming from the audience. From Lalit, thank you so much for giving us this question. At TEDx, how did you know about the audience sitting there?
All right. So if you understand TEDx essentially has only two types of audience. One is adults who could be professionals, who could be homemakers, who could be founders, who could be business owners. And then the other format is with educational institutions. So these are essentially young adults who are students, either in an art and science college, an engineering college, or an MBA. So as I mentioned that I had 20 iterations of my talk, it also included taking into account iterations for different, these two or three different kinds of audience. That's it. So TEDx is not that complex when it comes to understanding your audience, because the licenses give you only these two options, either an educational institution or an open license with open, everyone invited, all adults invited. So that's
Awesome.
about it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Anupriya, for sharing that. All right. Fantastic. Dr. Alka, ma'am is mentioning work can be done best by the busiest person. Awesome. Thank you so much for tuning in today. So let's get back to the conversation. This segment is about how do you all stay relevant without losing yourself? I know there is information overload from all sorts of directions and so many distractions that happen. So I'm curious to understand how you all stay relevant. So maybe I can stop with Saurabh first.
Yeah. So one of the things is like what Nija ma'am pointed in the beginning. It's about building relationships. When you build relationships, you keep updated with what is happening in the industry, especially with your niche, where the shift is going, what is currently happening. And research, of course, helps a lot. Research in terms of information, talking to, connecting to various events, connecting to various people in the industry, even the HRs and organizers. So if you're aware of where things are moving, where the trends are moving, you stay relevant in terms of your content, what you're delivering on the stage, in terms of what content you're creating online, in terms of what topics you're talking about. So I think it's important that we stay updated while we are also connected with people around us and doing our research, because you need to keep updating your keynotes every year.
Yeah, thank you so much, Saurabh, for sharing that. Neerja ma'am, what are your thoughts? How do you stay relevant?
I think you need to be very honest and ready to reassess what you are saying, what your message is, and be aware, be prepared to step back at times. There may be patches in your speaking career where you feel that what you have been saying, what you've been pushing as ideas, as recommendations, as your core message has become redundant. So uh, for instance, I write a regular column, and there's a reason I write that column. It is a column on how to keep up with Gen Next for a contemporary teacher's magazine. And that forces me to talk to people, that forces me to do the research, that forces me to read up, and forces me to be current. So that kind of proactive work to stay ahead of what is happening in your subject, because all of us are speaking on topics which are dynamic, which are constantly evolving. There's a lot happening in those fields. And I would say that create a property of your own, maybe a podcast or like a column, for instance. Or for instance, I am right now on the Oxford panel. That gives me an opportunity to speak to teachers and ask them what their students are up to and how they approach life. So these are some ways, intentional ways. Read consistently on your topic. I have all the Gen Z, for example, material tagged, and that comes into my email, and I make time to go through it regularly. Connect with the other speakers who are talking on the same subject. That's another way to stay relevant. It has to be really, really proactive, and in time you'll find that a lens, you acquire a lens that looks
Yeah.
at life around you from from a lens of your own topic, and that helps you to keep relevant.
Oh, I love that lens part. Neerja ma'am, thank you for sharing that. Anupriya, what are your thoughts? Like, what are your tips and tricks to stay relevant?
Uh, so what I have tried to do is that you got to, if you want to stay relevant, you need to talk to people who are going to be in the workforce or your audience 3 to 4 years from now. So the best way to do that is to stay connected to the students. Whatever your niche, find a way to interact with the college students, understand what goes on in their mind. Luckily, my niche is such that allows me opportunities to talk to students in groups, in masses, do one to one coaching with them. And that helps me understand their challenges, their mindset, and anticipate what is it that they're going to look forward to when they come into the workforce or business force. So when they become the earning class of the country, or rather, of their times, we should be ready with what we want to tell them or
Hey, that's
how we want
awesome.
to help them, the right words.
Hey, that's awesome. So you're in a way not just by storytelling, but also story listening. You're staying relevant
Yes.
for the most current happening things. That's awesome.
Thanks for mentioning that. Yes, story listening is essential for all our speakers. Yeah.
Right. Right. And so we have one question for Saurabh Patil. So if you don't mind, um, let's give the question to Dr. Saurabh Patil. Okay. It's a little bit of delay. Apologies. Okay. My thoughts too. Okay. Would love to know from Saurabh how much practice is too much practice.
Well, I would love to say that no practice is enough. You can still keep practicing till the time you are stepping on the stage. But at the same time, I think what I do is I make sure that I practice in pauses, in breaks. So when if I have a keynote, let's say next week, I make sure I practice in the morning. I give it a break, And then I practice in the evening. What this allows me is, when I take a break, this allows me, a space for ambiguity, or a space for uh, working anything at the last minute. I'm open to adding, changing my content, and at the same time, when we practice, we believe that everything is going to go in a flow and everything is going to happen in the right way. But on the stage, I have experienced, a lot of us have experienced, nothing most of the time goes right on the stage. So this space allows me to get prepared for anything that can go wrong, and prepare my mind that despite anything going wrong, I'm ready with the content and the speech. So maybe a lot of us practice 10, 15 times, 20 times. So there's no enough practice, or there is no over practice. Practice as much as you can till the time you get the flow right.
Yeah, I
That's
love
all I
that.
was
I
saying.
think, yeah, I love that, Saurabh. Thank you for sharing. I love the point where you mentioned rehearsing and taking a big pause, and then rehearsing at different stages during the day to give you that natural way of remembering and making it like a true, honest speech. That's wonderful. So, the next segment I would like to introduce to everyone is about self care. How do you take care of yourself? How do you balance your energy and time? Because as a speaker, those are like the big assets that we all have, especially to give the wonderful experience to our audience. So we need to be like, like a true hero or a heroine in front of the audience, right? So behind this stage, the BTS that we were talking about, how does each one of you take care of yourself? So first, maybe I'll stop with Neerja ma'am. Neerja ma'am, I think you are muted.
Sorry about that. So, self care for me would be physical exercise. That's completely non negotiable. And writing in the journal every night. I do that without fail most days. And self-care for me is also accomplishing. I told you, I'm addicted to ticking off my to-do list, and I make sure that enough is done in a day, and that allows me to go to bed in peace, and even treat myself sometimes to maybe one cereal, one spicy crime thriller or something of that nature. So that's how I treat myself at the end of a busy day, and I that's my self care. It's quite simple.
That's awesome. So you celebrate every little wins and you tick off things. So that's your trade secret. So thank you so much, ma'am, for sharing. Anupriya, you want to go next? How do you self care?
Sandhya, you mentioned energy management, and that is something very important for me because I am a mother. You just saw two boys lingering around, right? And they are quite a handful. So energy management for me is choosing my battles with the kids, or rather, everywhere on every front. I am very mindful about where am I putting my thoughts and energy, and that comes with practicing mindfulness. So yes, a little bit of meditation every day, a little bit of being a very focused effort on being mindful. And then there is energy management about everyone has some physical limitations, and mine is the throat. As irony would have had it, I have the throat. So, having only hot water, especially 2 days before, if I know that I'm going to speak, I'm going to avoid ice creams, I'm going to avoid foods which cause reflux. And that's physical form of taking care of myself. And usually, for a speaker, everyone has to know this. When we are on the stage, it the energy of the entire room is your onus. It's on you. So it's not just before the keynote or before the workshop, before speaking. After you have spent time on the stage, taken all the questions, clicked all the fan pictures, most speakers will agree with it while it is exhilarating, but the moment you are away from that spotlight, you feel drained.
Yes.
So I really do focus on, having a routine post the keynote so that I am ready to work the next day, or maybe take a, a first half day break and then get to work the next day. So I don't know if other speakers feel it, but I have, experienced this, that it's not so much about before the keynote or
Yeah.
speaking before the spotlight. It is a lot about after the spotlight. And because I believe in energy and all of that, so cutting the cords, cleansing, and all of that happens, it takes some time to recuperate from that exertion.
Yeah, absolutely true. And I completely agree with that. Especially most of the day long workshops, I end up with a paracetamol in the night after all the energy has been drained. So I can completely
Yes.
understand that. Saurabh, what are your thoughts about self care and energy management?
Yeah. So one of the important things for me for self-care is my discipline. This I learned the hard way. So discipline in terms of my schedule throughout the day, get up early morning before everyone wakes up, do some reading, then workout and meditation. And most important thing, which once was my weakness, is food. I've re-regulated what I eat, especially before any keynote or an online talk, because just like Anupriya said, we do drain a lot the moment we come off the stage. So I avoid anything that can give me sugar rush just before going on the stage. Why? Because my first paid keynote in 2022 by one of the well-known huge Indian bank was a disaster. I was given a post-lunch slot. I also ate the delicious meal. So did the audience. And including the audience, I was yawning on the stage. And that is when I realized that this is not what professional speaking is. From that day, it all changed. So discipline and the right food is what gives me the self-care and the right energy management.
Yeah, totally can relate that with you all. Thank you so much for sharing your honest and open feedback and your inputs of what really happens and all the sacrifices. Kudos to you, especially when the entire audience is fed really well at an event and then you are like really getting up and there's a lot of sacrifice involved. I hope you didn't miss my sentence out there. I saw the screen was refreshing. All right. So thank you so much for that. And I see that there are a couple of questions. Let's turn into the audience questions. For beginners, how do we get opportunities as professional or keynote speakers? Probably I'll have this question to Anupriya as she's a TEDx mentor. So, Anupriya, do you want to take that?
Uh, so we leave TEDx out of it because TEDx is more about your expertise and not your aspiration to become a professional or a keynote speaker. I want to, clear the air around this, that TEDx is not the gateway to becoming a professional speaker. It
Right.
is for the experts to present their legacy, or rather reach out, give out their legacy idea into the world. But apart from that, if you aspire to be a professional speaker, a keynote speaker, you have to figure out what is the agenda, what is the objective that you're looking for. I know a lot of keynote speakers who do not charge for any of their keynotes. As corporate leaders, it's their way of giving back to the community. Whatever experiences they have garnered, whatever expertise that they have gathered through the years of experience, they want to just share it with the audience. So they speak at conferences, they get invited to speak at summits. Now, they don't charge, yet they are keynote speakers nevertheless. There's the other category, the one that we at PSAI propagate, that you can turn professional speaking into a profession, so to say, a business. you get paid for it. And that's where you start slow and small. So probably you will start with some pro bono keynotes or workshops or master classes. Institutions and colleges are the best way to do. Will start in that respect. After that, you start looking for clients, or rather, a best way is to get a business developer for yourself. So, you are the expert. Do not get into business development. Get your business development collaterals ready. So, have your one pager profile, have your website, have an active LinkedIn profile. But uh, I get approached by consultants, training consultancies, to for various assignments, training as well as speaking assignments. So that I think is the easier path rather than going full fledged on business development, writing to consultants, writing to organizations. It does not work like that because we are not celebrities. India is still in the celebrity mindset. They want actors, they want actresses, they want cricket players. I'll share a simple example. We were doing our research for an event, and they wanted a player from the Indian women's cricket team, of course, after all the hype around winning the World Cup.
Yeah.
And we know that a certain player was charging a certain amount for appearing at an event. And after the win, the the ask went up by 4 times. And they know they will get it because India is still in that mindset. So, uh, probably giving your training clients that flexibility that you could provide something in 1 hour for a special occasion in the form of a keynote is your best bet to start with. And later on, yes, of course, once you build up your personal brand, your professional brand, people approach you.
Great tips and great inputs, Anupriya. Thank you so much for sharing that. And for anyone who missed out on our previous episodes of Ripple Talks, we covered like speaking as a business, how do you grow your speaking niche, all of that. And for many, many more, we're going to also have live events that are going to happen. Live global speakers are coming in at our upcoming PSS 2026 event. And we're going to hear more about that in a few minutes. So hold on to the surprise. So, another question that we have from the audience. As professional speaker, do each of you stick to chosen few areas, or as a professional speaker would speak on anything that takes their fancy? Thank you, Avinash, for that question. Neerja ma'am, do you want to speak about that?
Yes. You have put your finger on an aching pulse that we all have here because this, the whole business of professional speaking is to eventually become the top of everybody's mind as an expert on a narrow niche. Why narrow? So that you can stand out. You are the expert of that particular field. You want business. And as a professional speaker, you do not speak on everything. You speak on your core topic. I speak on generational diversity, and my colleagues here on the panel have their core niche. So, as soon as you join a community called the Professional Speakers Association of India, you will start hearing how important it is to narrow down on what your experience, your training, your education background, your traumas, your life, all the dots, where do they all meet and cause a resounding sound that everybody's ready to applaud? So, in short, we speak on very core topics, not everything.
Thank you, ma'am. I love that answer. Thank you so much for the wonderful questions that are coming in from the audience as well. So now let's talk about the upcoming, our flagship event, PSS 2026. Let's watch a short video.
One voice can spark an idea, but many voices united create a movement. We are speakers, We are storytellers. We are change makers. We stand on the power of our words. But words alone don't shape the future. It is when voices come together, when knowledge is shared, that's when true transformation happens. We are a young association, bold, relentless, taking confident strides into the world of professional speaking. But we don't walk alone, we rise together. And what better place to experience synergy than a land where time itself has stood witness to it? Welcome to Chennai. This year we gather not just to speak, but to breathe, reflect and connect at a one-of-a-kind beachside retreat in Chennai. Set along the scenic East Coast Road, this beachfront venue blends elegance with energy. Walk barefoot on the sands. Let the sea breeze ignite your next big idea. Share the table with folks from all over the globe and indulge in a buffet that could range from Tair Sadam to biryani, angel hair pasta to zucchini salad, fried fish to grilled lobster, and coconut-drenched curries from coastal India. AI will shape our tools, but synergy will shape our destiny. Because while technology may keep throwing up the next big thing, humanity has always thrived on synergy. This is our moment. This is our stage. This is our synergy. Professional Speakers Summit 2026. Lock the date. Come join us. Be a part of the moment.
That's awesome. I have goosebumps each time I watch this. A round of applause.
Yes,
And I'm
absolutely.
already mentally and spiritually in Chennai at this moment, although it is 30 days away. So thank you so much for playing that video. And um, a, a word of mention that I would like to share with you all. The event page is there, and in the comment section, you can find the link. And if I can take a minute to go over the global speakers who are coming in to be live at the event, you can watch out at the website as I share with you on the screen. This is a glimpse of what is going to happen. So if anyone is still waiting, the surprise is no longer going to be available once the tickets run out. So grab your tickets if you haven't already. So there are so many global speakers, apart from the entire community who is going to be there for helping you if whatever stage you are at in terms of professional speaking, or if you're a leader or a coach, it doesn't matter. Or if you're just coming to meet an amazing tribe, this is the event that you don't want to miss. So thank you so much for sharing that. And I forget to mention that there are so many book launches also are happening at the event, which you don't want to miss. So many authors are releasing their books, maybe for the first time, or their ongoing list of authoring that they do. So this is an amazing event where you're going to find a lot of book launches also that are going to happen. And although the event is mainly on February 6th and 7th, there is also a pre-bash that is happening on 5th, and also some selected seats that are going to happen with a cultural trip and and a networking that will continue on 8th as well. So this is a wonderful opportunity for anybody across the world who wants to visit. This is a place that you don't want to miss. Thank you so much for sharing that on the website. All right, so let's get back to the discussion with one last but one segment that I would like to focus on. How do you grow your network and net worth? So, this is a segment that is very near and dear to a lot of us. So, I would like to hear your inputs on how do you grow your net worth by keeping yourself busy. So, the first question I would love to ask Neerja ma'am. I know your work spans across so many organizations, institutions across the world. And How have you positioned yourself in your niche area, ma'am?
One is with your online presence, and everything about you as a speaker has to be congruent, it has to be integrated. You can't be saying one thing and projecting something else somewhere else. So everything that you write, everything that your conversations, everything that you speak, it all has to be congruent and around your core topic. uh, and I would say, when you talk about network and net worth, it is one relationship, one person at a time, one talk at a time. Intentional is the word. Constant alertness to where you want to go. And people see that about each other. They see that you come with a very clear intention, and you have the ability to action and to conclude that, whether it's a connection, whether it's a talk. So that's the way to do this. Be congruent, be intentional in your presence online, and in your interactions with people.
I love that,
That's
Neerja,
how I
ma'am.
work on that.
I can just sit here and then keep listening to you. It just, feels like the magic voice just gives me goosebumps each time I listen to you.
Mhm.
Love that. Anupriya, I would love to learn from you about. I know you've created opportunities not just for yourself, but for many, many people. At what point did you understand that enabling others is probably the secret mantra for you to start opening new doors?
I wanted to keep in practice. That was the only motivation. So, how do you keep in practice? I joined, it's been 5 years. I joined PSAI in November 2020. I took a painful 18 months to realize what my niche was. And once I identified my niche, I had to practice it. So, opportunities presented themselves. You talked about networking. So I reached out to all the communities in my city, and I happened to have, one after the other, I got the opportunities to curate talks for them, speak for them. And these are all pro bono opportunities. And then I realized that people are in need of some kind of mentoring, curation, to be able to talk about themselves, to be able to tell their own narratives. And that's what I talk about. And a little bit of digging, a little bit of research. My Neerja introduced us to Pechakucha. I dug a little more and I figured that I could obtain a city license for Pechakucha. And there was no looking back after that. I have done what, some six events, five events curating Pecha Kucha nights. I got then invited to curate TEDx events. So that's how all these numbers, the body of work has come from. So the primary motivation is to keep in practice, to
That's
keep
awesome.
building the body of work. Uh, and then that leads to other opportunities.
Love that. Think your noble intention of mentoring and helping others has also created your niche area, as I can hear from you. That's awesome. Thank you so much, Anupriya.
Yes. You
Yeah.
could say something like that. Yes.
Yeah. Saurabh, I know that we talked about some of your setbacks in our earlier conversations. I know your journey has involved reinventing, not just once, but a lot more times. How has your inner work helped you to step into creating new opportunities for yourself?
Yes, so I always talk about this, a speaker's inner game or a speaker's inner work, and why is it important? Apart from, the slides, the content, the delivery, one of the important things for any speaker is their inner game, how they maintain their emotional quotient. I do use my
Yeah,
own
yeah. So
framework, SPR. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so
No,
I
no,
do
please
use
go
my
ahead.
own
Yeah.
framework SPR, which I developed. I took almost 24 months, like Anupriya, to get into my micro niche, then develop my own framework. And that is where I started using my own framework and self regulation on myself. So I have made it a habit that whenever I go or have a keynote or even have an online speech or event or panel, I make sure that I use SPR in order to self regulate, calm myself, have a contingency. Because as a speaker, it's always important to have a contingency. Like in New Zealand, when I was speaking recently, uh, my presentation was not uploaded. And that is where I had to step down and allow the other speaker, and that broke the rhythm. So staying calm, one of the factors which I use even to preach as a coach to my audience, because I deal with anger management. Staying calm, restarting, pausing, which is one of the biggest step I take, or I think one of the biggest step every speaker should take to self-regulate instead of reacting. Pausing and then restarting with the right intention and with the right steps. That is what
That's
has
awesome.
helped me, and that is what I tell everyone to to self-regulate.
Yeah, I can see that in action. I've heard your SPR talk in the previous PSS 2025. So it was awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that, Saurabh. I know all of you are so experienced and so well connected in the PSAI community. So, my next short question is about how long have you been part of PSAI and how did PSAI help you to become the speaker you are? Neerja ma'am, you want to shed light on this? I think you're on mute, ma'am.
Sorry, I'm making a habit of it.
No
I
worries.
am 5 years old, Sandhya, in the PSAI, and my first exposure was the Delhi Summit, the Professional Speakers Summit at Delhi that Vikas Jain was the chair of, and I didn't sleep 2 nights. The 2 nights of that event, I did not sleep. I just felt that this was my biradari. I had found my home. I had found my folks and what we call my tribe. Here are these people who write, who speak, who travel, and who bring about changes, who help other people be more. And so that was my beginning. And how has PSAI made me? I am I am because of PSI. I am because PSI is PSI. And
Yes.
Anupriya sometimes uses this word sticky. There are these sticky folks in PSI, and I am one of those sticky folks. So
You're the good sticky.
I sticky. I identify very, very deeply, strongly with this association, and no matter what role I play, what I'm, what is expected, it doesn't matter. But I'm here for BSCI, and thank you, BSCI.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Neerja ma'am, if you weren't there, so we would be missing out on a global recognition because you are the GSF president elect. So, and I'm
Thank
also
you,
especially proud because you also hail from Hyderabad. So
thank you very
that's
much.
thank you so much, ma'am, for all the contributions. And you were also the ex-president of PSAI. So thank you for all your contributions. Anupriya,
Thank you,
how long
BSCI.
have you
Thank you, BSCI, once again.
been?
So,
How long have you
you
been?
know what, Sandhya, if we
Yeah.
started talking about Neerja's contribution to PSAI, I think we would need another episode for it.
Yes,
She's been more modest enough to wrap it up in, a couple of minutes, just a couple of minutes. But
yes.
talking about how his PSAI is shaped, I think I make it a habit whenever I'm in a discussion or any kind of live telecast to mention I've been here for this much duration, and it gave me ample time, ample mentoring, ample interaction time, and still, at my pace. to be able to identify my niche. I told you, I mentioned
Yes.
18 painstaking months, but they will
Right.
not leave you. No one will leave your back or behind. They'll keep hammering it. Find your niche, find your niche, find your niche. And there's the power of the community. In the community, you have people who have already made it. Okay. There are people who are on the verge of making it. And then there were people like me who just joined the community out of curiosity. And here I am, having identified my niche, trying to establish my personal brand around it, and created that credibility to some extent. I would like to believe I've created that credibility. But this roadmap came from PSAI and nowhere else. The people who we get the opportunity to talk to interact with just by messaging. Can we get on a short call? I have this doubt. This proximity would not come anywhere else just by being a part of the community. They would demand a lot more from you. So again, as they say, the cliche, you are the average of 5 people you spend your time with. PSAI helped me, elevate my average. That's what PSAI has done. It's brought in the focus. It's given me the roadmap. It's brought in the focus, and it gives me the motivation. Because when you look at Neerja, of course, you want to aspire to be her. So that's what it gives you.
Yeah, thank you
That's
so
all.
much. And it took you to the point where you already received a recognition from none other than President of India. So
I was
that's
sure.
awesome.
Oh, I want to. Do I have a minute? I want to share that story of manifestation
Another
because
episode.
PSI has a role to play.
No, no.
Just I'll wind it up in
Go ahead.
1 minute.
Go ahead. Go
Uh,
ahead.
the year Neerja was the president, the year subsequent to that, I was the national executive, the national chair for membership. And we have this practice of giving awards, President's Awards for service to the community. And that particular year, when this award was distributed or announced, I was not at the venue. It happened in Chennai. I couldn't travel to Chennai for the PSS that year. And when the trophy finally came in my hands, it just mentioned President's Award, nothing else, along with the PSAI logo. And I just looked at it and I was like, it's mentioned as if I'm receiving something from the President of India. I was happy. I was happy. And I just made that statement. This happened in January, uh, in that particular year. And the president's felicitation came in August that year. So they just say that the frequencies are at work. And yes, this is very much my story of manifestation where PSAI has a big role to play.
So well deserved. Thank you so much, Anupriya. So I'll conclude after Saurabh. So, Saurabh, what is
Yeah.
your experience with
So
PSAI?
3 years and fourth year now, currently the fourth year in PSCI. And let me confess, I'm the sticky one as well. And I just joined PSCI in 2022 out of curiosity, purely out of curiosity. And at first, I was purely intimidated that these are such a professional speaking people, very well mannered. And how am I going to survive? Probably if it had not been PSCI, I wouldn't have even pursued professional speaking. So the warm, the welcoming, the way people interacted, the way people actually, allowed me to connect with them, the way they made time to speak to me, guide me selflessly is what actually this community gave. And even today, after 3 years, anyone I approach, I speak to, people are here to guide, connect, even give their mentoring. Like Anupriya was one of our mentors when Neerja ma'am is always there to answer any query, you just message her. So everyone in the community is here to guide you, help you. So that warmth and probably that it's like PSA is a second family. That's how it is.
You're absolutely right. And I proudly, announce that I'm the new sticky one who just joined in 2025. So, and I already received a lot of warmth, a lot of feedback, a lot of inputs, and everything. And that's why I'm also hosting today's show. And thank you so much for the PSS community and the PSAI Association and all the chapters and my incredible colleagues who are working alongside with me for the marketing of PSS 2026. And we look forward to seeing you all at the gala event. Let's have lots and lots of fun and memories. Thank you so much, Neerja ma'am, Anupriya, and Saurabh, for this amazing, heartfelt conversation. I enjoyed thoroughly, and I hope the audience have enjoyed it too. Thank you so much for a lovely evening. I wish you all the very best, and I'll see you all soon. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Sandhya, for
you.
the lovely
Bye bye.
questions. Lovely.